أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In few days' time, we are approaching the holy month of Ramadan. Muslims all over the world prepare themselves to fulfill one of the essential practices and essential duties of devotion and pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Ramadan. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, in his last sermon before the month of Ramadan, advised Muslims about the significance of this month, the holy month of Ramadan. One very important lesson he taught and good advice he gave to Muslims was that أنفاسكم فيه تسبيح وَنَوْمُكُمْ فِيهِ عِبَادَةٌ. Your breath is counted as glorification to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and your sleep during the month of Ramadan is counted as an act of devotion and sincerity. It is important to know that the breath is something natural and automatically done. We don't intend to breathe, rather we used to breathe, and by that we inhale the oxygen. We get it to allow us to feed and give the pure air to the lungs and get rid of whatever CO2 or any other unwanted parts of the air, unwanted particles of the air. But when Muslims fast during the month of Ramadan, their breath is not counted as a natural urge or need. It is rather counted and rewarded for as you are glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you breathe. And you find it in the book of records. Then sleep, again, is a natural need. When you get tired, and sometimes even hunger leads to sleep. So when you feel weak, unable to continue the fast, and you go to sleep, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, counts that as act of worship. أنفاسكم فيه تسبيح ونومكم فيه عبادة. So it is such great season for all Muslims to be in the presence of Allah and His pleasure, to seek what pleases Him, and of course, to be loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what are the advantages of this holy month, fasting during the month of Ramadan? We can summarize some of them. First of all, one of the advantages of fasting is developing and exercising patience. It is not surprising to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah number 2, ayah 45, considers fasting as patience, refers to fasting by giving the title of sabr and fasting. So this link and relation between fasting and patience is so important Why? Let's remember one story that certain people asked their prophet after Musa alayhi salam to appoint for them a king, a person with authority, in order that they can fight under his banner and defend their country and fight their enemy. And that was, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in this Quranic reference, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed Talut, Shaul, for them. And for this position to fulfill it, and when Talut led the troops and his forces towards what he had in mind, he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to test you by a particular river. So when you go there, please don't fetch water from that river. Don't fill your stomach from that. Don't quench your thirst. Whoever can control himself, be patient, and don't have access to water, فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي. He will be part of me. He belongs to me. He will be accepted in my troops and under my command. But those who fill their stomach and quench the thirst without observing any type of this restriction, which I asked and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered me to make it a must, then this is not part of me. They don't belong to me. And in reality, what happened? That the majority had their liberty to fill their stomach and have that water. Few refrained from having water. And there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that these people who addressed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and said, "Oh Lord, indeed, cause patience to flow upon us and to strengthen our intention." So this means that patience for itself is something very good, not having liberty to have access to food and water. The second advantage we may conclude here is it is fortifying willpower. Willpower is very, very important when you have self-control and determination to improve your lives and overcome all stresses and strains. Opposite to that is hesitance and lack of ability to make the right decision are signs of the weak personality. So you have everything ready and available to you, the food, the drink, cold water in the fridge, but still you have willpower not to go for it. And that is very, very important. All successful people are those who have this ability to fight their ill desires and to control them and use this willpower at least as a sign of strong personality. The third advantage of this practice in Islam, and that is fasting, is to experience the hunger and thirst of the destitute. There are millions or billions of people, whether they are Muslims or not, in every corner of the world that they exercise the destitute. They are not able to fill their stomach. They don't have the food, believe me. For even some Muslim countries, the whole month of Ramadan or the whole month in all other months of the year, they are not able to feed their children with healthy food. It is difficult for them even to some countries because of whatever problems, economical problems, that they are not able to buy meat or any other valuable food for their children for a month, for 2 months. I've seen in some places that the only food they were able to afford was having some bread and tea. So when you have access to good food and you can afford having all those and enjoying good food, during the month of Ramadan, you try for at least 18 hours, sometimes more or less, it depends on the season, to exercise the hunger and thirst and share with those destitute the poverty, the lack of access to the food. And the last point or advantage we may mention here is the health benefits. It is known nowadays that and acknowledged that the healthy diet means eating a wide variety of food but with the right proportions. And in this way, those who get obese, those who try to have food and again snack and the other meal, and then between a meal and another having the liberty to have whatever chocolate or snack or this and that, they make maximum damage to their health. Of course, when you try to minimize the consumption of food for at least 18, 20 hours, nowadays maybe a bit more in some countries, of course, you allow your digestive system to be clear, to have some sort of rest. And by doing so, you do maximum benefit to your health. So, brothers and sisters, these are few advantages one may make. And by the last point, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Sumu tasihhu." When you keep fast, of course, the benefit is that you have a healthy, situation and life. In conclusion, when a person, according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered, find himself able to surrender and submit to his will and act upon the commands, refrain from the disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this again shows the sincerity in their hearts. And by doing so, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them for obedience and complying with whatever guidelines in this month. So let's hope and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us the strength and ability to fast during the month of Ramadan. Of course, the obligatory fast is this month. We are advised by the Prophet ﷺ, by our Imams, that at least in other months, especially during the month of Rajab and Sha'ban, and some other months at least, we have the voluntary type of fasting too. And by doing so, we remember the Hadith Qudsi that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that as-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bihi. All acts of worship are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to please Him. But this particular reward comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly to His servant. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.